Welcome back to another episode of Advancing Poultry Veterinary Medicine through Innovation. Today we have Dr. Hayley Bowling from the Prairie Livestock Veterinary Clinic. Thank you, Hayley, for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Jim.
I know we've been doing a four-part episode with your team. Today we're talking about integrating technology in veterinary practice. Before we get into it, can you give us a brief background of yourself, Hayley?
Yeah, for sure. So, as you mentioned, I'm a poultry veterinarian. I also practice swine medicine as well. Our clinic does both. And I am licensed in both Alberta and Saskatchewan. So, I do both swine and poultry in both provinces up here in the Canadian prairies. Yeah, that's me. I went to school in Saskatoon, veterinary school in Saskatoon, and did a bachelor's degree in agriculture before that. And that's really where my love for agriculture began. And here we are.
So you've got a great approach to things. What are some examples of the technologies that you've incorporated into your veterinary practice to enhance diagnostics and treatment?
Yeah, for sure. We rely quite heavily on technology. I mean, the biggest example I think in our practice is telemedicine. So being able to communicate with producers and field techs who are out in the field when we're not able to be there ourselves. Practicing in the prairies, things are a lot less concentrated, right? Like I can be working with farms that are a 7 hour drive away. And if they have an emergency and I'm not able to get to the farm in a reasonable amount of time, we are able to get photos and videos from the producer of, how the birds are doing in the barn, production records so that we can see, trends, patterns in their health. And then we've also done a lot of training with producers that we work with regularly to teach them how to do a basic post-mortem on their own on farm so that they're able to open up some birds, send us photos, we tell them what photos to take, and then based on that, we can make kind of a preliminary diagnosis based on a kind of suspicion, and then we're able to initiate treatment a lot faster. We've also been doing video calls, so just like live from the barn on FaceTime, Zoom, what have you. And that's been really valuable too, because we can sort of request, oh, wait, I want a closer look of that kind of thing with field reps and people like that who are boots on the ground. One thing we've been trying out more so on the swine side, but we're hoping to integrate it into poultry as well, is these virtual reality glasses that we have. And so it sort of projects what the person in the field is seeing so that I can see it real time, what they're seeing as well, just to get more of an immersive experience. So that's one tool we really like. There's tools that I like to use as well when I do get to go on farm and be with the birds. I'm a big fan of infrared imaging. So we've invested in a little FLIR camera that actually just plugs into the bottom of your phone, and then you can take infrared thermal imaging. So I like to use that in hatcheries. It helps get a good visual of chick comfort, how they're distributed in, a stack of baskets or whatever, incubation conditions, as well as on farm, looking at ventilation. Are we seeing any drafts, cold spots, brooding audits, like where are the chicks gathering and why, that kind of thing. We're also looking at incorporating some more kind of point of care testing on farm, which is pretty heavily utilized in small animal practice and mixed animal practice, where the animals come to you, but there are technologies we can use in the field as well, such as blood gas testing, which will tell us blood pH and levels of electrolytes, such as calcium. And I think this is really applicable to poultry as well.
So lots of technologies and innovations you've listed, a lot of these tools. Anything additional on how some of these digital tools improve efficiency and accuracy as well in poultry?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the big benefit of technology too, is improving that efficiency. And in the example of telemedicine, we're able to really shorten that duration between the onset of clinical signs when the producer notices an issue to when we're able to diagnose and treat those birds. So obviously this is beneficial to the producer's bottom line. If we're able to get the birds on treatment sooner, maybe we can save more birds, as well as bird welfare, right? We want to be able to do that as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Are there any more specific cases, Haley, where technology played a crucial role in diagnosing and then even treating a health issue?
Yeah, so I guess one example of telemedicine that we've done in the last year was a case of calcium tetany in a broiler breeder flock. And so calcium tetany happens when they have an acute decrease in calcium in their bloodstream due to metabolic conditions, that kind of thing. And so we got the call in the morning, and the producer was able to send us photos and videos of these, neurologic paralyzed birds and say what's going on. And with the technology of telemedicine, we were able to gather enough information to suspect that diagnosis. So it was enough time for me to get my vet tech, Tracy, to go to a mixed animal clinic, grab some injectable calcium solution, meet me at the farm, and then within a couple of hours, we were able to individually treat those birds for the appropriate condition. And that's also a situation where something like an on-site blood gas monitor would have been really awesome. But we ultimately were able, because we had that tool in advance, we were able to diagnose it based on their response to giving them the calcium.
That's great, kind of real-time action and results there. Now, as tech continues to evolve, what do you see as the future of technology? And then what would excite you the most, Hayley?
I mean, it's all very exciting. Clearly, I'm very excited about this, but I think the industry will continue to expand the technologies that we're using. And I think they'll become more accessible as demand increases, right? Like I was able to go out and get an infrared camera for my phone for less than $500, whereas that used to cost, tens of thousands of dollars. So I think it's really important that we keep being interested in these technologies so that they do become more available. And I think we should always keep an open mind too about incorporating practices and technologies used in other industries, such as small animal medicine, swine, cattle. They all have their own exciting technological developments that probably will have use in poultry as well.
And are there any ethical considerations to be mindful of when integrating technology into veterinary medicine?
For sure, for sure. And I've learned a lot about this since, implementing these technologies into practice. I think the biggest thing I've experienced is just making sure that I'm able to get enough information from, something like telemedicine that I'm able to feel confident in a diagnosis and initiate appropriate treatment, at least on an emergency basis. That's kind of how the practice of telemedicine is laid out in our veterinary regulations. And so it's definitely useful, but it can't be used in every single situation, right? So I think that's important for producers to be aware of as well as vets. And kind of along those lines too, it's important to always own what we don't know, right? Like there are limitations to these technologies. They tell us a lot of information, but the key really is interpreting that information and putting it into practice on farm. And sometimes that's going to require you saying, I don't really know. Let me call a friend that's an expert in this particular area and we'll see what they think. So that's something I've had to become really comfortable doing and something I'm really appreciative to the industry for is having people be willing to collaborate and share and let us incorporate these technologies.
And before we go, Hayley, what do you love most about this? Helping people.
I think just the opportunity it has to improve both the producer's bottom line, but also bird welfare. Like when it comes down to it, I am on the team of the birds. I'm the producer, and I always want what's best for both of them. And if we can use a specific technology to improve the level of care that I can provide, that just it makes my entire day.
A great look into technology, Hayley. Dr. Hayley Bowling, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Jim.